He spent 30 years telling strangers how to survive their darkest moments. Then, without warning, he disappeared from the internet completely. No goodbye video, no explanation, just silence where one of the loudest voices on the planet used to be. Jordan Peterson, clinical psychologist, Harvard-trained, author of one of the best-selling books of the century, had built his entire identity on one idea: that people become strong by carrying weight, not avoiding it. So, what happens when the body of the man who preached discipline simply stops obeying him? Have you ever had the thing you built your whole life around turn on you without warning? Tell me in the comments, because that's exactly what this story is about. In 2025, Peterson was rushed into intensive care. His daughter, Michaela, called it a near-death experience. For almost a month, he couldn't speak to his own family. The man whose words had reached hundreds of millions had lost the ability to communicate at all. But to understand how he got there, we have to go back to a frozen town in northern Alberta, where a quiet kid in a library started asking questions too big for his age. Jordan Peterson was born in 1962 in Edmonton and raised in Fairview, a small, hard winter town where nobody expected greatness. His father taught school. His mother worked at the local college library. They weren't wealthy or connected, but they valued one thing: books. A librarian introduced teenage Jordan to Orwell, Solzhenitsyn, and Huxley, writers who stared straight at totalitarianism and refused to blink. Something in those pages never let him go. He briefly joined a socialist youth party, then quit at 18, not out of cynicism, but because he realized the real question wasn't which political system was correct. It was why intelligent people kept building nightmares while believing they were building paradise. That question sent him through a political science degree, then psychology, then a doctorate at McGill, studying the roots of addiction and aggression. By 1991, he had his PhD. Harvard hired him shortly after. He wasn't famous, just an intense professor whose students said he changed how they saw the world. In 1999, after 13 years of writing, he published Maps of Meaning. It barely sold, but the ideas kept spreading through his lectures, and a quiet professor from a frozen prairie town was slowly becoming impossible to ignore. What single book or idea first made you realize the world was more complicated than you'd been taught? Drop it below. The real turning point came in 2016. Peterson posted a few plain YouTube videos opposing a Canadian law he believed would compel speech. No production value, just a professor and a camera. Within a month, 400,000 views. Within a year, his funding jumped from $1,000 a month to over $50,000. Letters poured in from people who said the same thing. I thought I was the only one who felt this way. Should anyone ever be legally required to use specific words? Comment your take. This single question split a country. He didn't back down, and the more he was attacked, the bigger he got. By 2018, 12 Rules for Life had sold 10 million copies. He was debating philosophers on stages worldwide, doing 4-hour interviews with millions of views. The New York Times called him one of the most influential public intellectuals alive. But nobody could see what was happening underneath. He'd been living on an extreme meat-only diet since 2016 to manage autoimmune symptoms. His wife Tammy had just been diagnosed with a rare, aggressive kidney cancer initially called terminal. He was carrying global fame in one hand and his family's survival in the other, and no one in the audience knew. Then, in 2019, a low-dose anti-anxiety prescription he'd been taking since 2016 was increased, and his body reacted in a way nobody predicted. Benzodiazepine dependence doesn't announce itself. It rewires the brain's ability to regulate fear, then hands the anxiety back amplified. Withdrawal from it is considered one of the most dangerous processes the human nervous system can go through. Peterson tried to stop. What followed, he's only ever described in fragments. Has something that was supposed to help you ever turned around and made things worse? That's exactly where he found himself. With no help available in North America, his family flew him to Moscow for a medically induced coma meant to let his nervous system reset. Doctors found pneumonia in both lungs on arrival. The coma happened anyway, 8 days unconscious, followed by a month in intensive care. He came out unable to walk normally. Months of rehab in Serbia followed in near total silence. He re-emerged in mid-2020, thinner, careful with his words, clearly changed. He'd survived, but survival, it turned out, was only round one. Tammy's cancer went into remission around the same time, a rare piece of good news. Peterson returned to work carrying it all. A second book, Beyond Order, a resignation from the University of Toronto after decades in academia, a move to the Daily Wire, and the launch of Peterson Academy, an online learning platform his daughter now runs. He relocated to Arizona. From the outside, it looked like a comeback, but a body push that hard rarely sends the bill immediately. In summer 2025, while helping clear out his late father-in-law's house, Peterson was exposed to hidden mold, the invisible kind that releases toxins an already exhausted immune system can't fight off. Within weeks, his body triggered a runaway immune reaction called chronic inflammatory response syndrome, or CIRS, where the immune system stops targeting a threat and starts attacking the body itself. Has something meant to protect you ever turned into the thing hurting you? That's precisely what CIRS did to him. It escalated fast. CIRS into pneumonia, pneumonia into sepsis. He was rushed into emergency care and spent nearly a month in the ICU, unable to speak to his own family. His daughter called it a near-death experience and revealed her own newborn had been hospitalized with a cardiac emergency on the very same day. Doctors later found nerve damage affecting his motor control. He stabilized by October, but stayed hospitalized until December, 5 months total. By December 2025, he was finally home in Arizona. Alive, but, his daughter said carefully, not fully well. We are waiting, hoping, and praying for recovery, she said. The man who always had an answer had none for this. What do you do when the tools that carried your entire life stop being enough? Tell me below, because everyone eventually faces some version of this question. Today, in early 2026, Peterson is home, still under a specialist team's care, still rebuilding a nervous system pushed past its limits. Progress is slow and uneven. His family is what fills the space where the world tour used to be. Michaela visiting daily, Tammy beside him after surviving what was supposed to be unsurvivable, his son and grandchildren nearby. He reportedly watches his own academy's courses now from home and likes them, a strange, human image of a man finally sitting still inside something he built. If there's a lesson in all of this, it's not that his ideas were wrong. Millions of people rebuilt their lives on them, and that's real. It's that meaning isn't medicine, and no amount of discipline can negotiate with a body that has truly hit its limit. The man who taught the world how to carry weight is now learning, the hard way, that some weight has to be set down, and that's not a failure of the philosophy. It might be the most honest chapter of it. If this story affected you, drop a like for a man still fighting, subscribe for more, and tell me in the comments, what's one rule from his life, not his books, that you're taking with you?